Birds of a feather, we should stick together. I know I said I never think I wasn't better alone. Can't change the weather, might not be forever, but if it's forever, it's even better. Who doesn't love Billie Eilish?
What is up, everybody? Random Random Man here, bringing you my review for Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, the tour, live in 3D. Wow, that is a long title. In one take. Now, this 3D concert film follows the titular singer-songwriter as she has performances from her titular 7th headlining concert tour in 2025 in Manchester. Going into this movie, I was looking forward to seeing it as I am a fan of Billie Eilish. Like most of the world over, I came to know who she was back in 2019 when her hit song Bad Guy really made it big in the pop culture landscape. She has been doing music since she was a kid. I mean, she was a teenager when she really broke out into music. 2015 saw her release Ocean Eyes, another great song too, but she really further catapulted into fame with Bad Guy and would later go on to win a bunch of Grammy Awards for that song and the album that was released alongside all the other songs that really made her a true pop star. She set a bunch of records for how young she was and still is. She has won a total of 10 Grammy Awards, and on the film side of things, she has won 2 Academy Awards. Her first one was Best Original Song for No Time to Die from No Time to Die. That was the theme song for that James Bond film. And then her second Oscar, also in the same category, was for What Was I Made For from Barbie. This makes her the youngest person to have more than 1 Oscar. She has 2 total, and her brother, Phineas, who she collaborates with often, is also one of the youngest people to have more than 1 Oscar, both of them together. I mean, they're geniuses. I really like her style of music in that she knows how to balance doing a bunch of big, poppy kind of catchy songs while also doing a lot of smaller, more tender and intimate kind of features. So this concert film, this is not the first concert film that she has done. This is the 3rd one, and I haven't seen the previous 2 that she did, but I saw that the whole appeal with seeing this movie is with it being done in 3D. I'll take my glasses off now, actually. Hi, you can see me better now, and I can see better. But anyway, this concert film was not only directed by Eilish, it was also directed by James Cameron. Of course, a pretty big titan in the world of 3D for film, as more recently he has done the Avatar movies, the most recent film, Avatar Fire and Ash, having been released this past December. And who is someone better than him to know how to present something in 3D, being one of the directors and producers just like Eilish is here. And seeing all of this come together, I think that it made for something that I was gonna see how it would turn out, also in comparison to the past in terms of my experience with 3D concert films, as this is not the first 3D concert film that I have seen in theaters. I mentioned in my review for Taylor Swift The Eras Tour that also was not my first concert movie in the theater either. No, my first concert film in theaters, and also my first 3D film in theaters, was Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus, Best of Both Worlds, the concert movie there. Back in 2008, I was 10 years old when I saw that. And as I mentioned in my review for the Eras Tour film, I'll quickly mention it here, that it was quite an experience seeing that in the theater because it was my first 3D film, and I will never forget that it was not just a gimmick seeing all of that come together. When the trailers were still playing, there was a trailer for a U2 concert film prior to the main feature starting, and the screen slowly dimmed to black or faded to black, and then once the picture came back up, the 3D effect was in full force, and everyone in the audience notably went, ah, or they had an audible reaction to it. So that was when the modern rendition of 3D that we know now, with the black 3D glasses or whatever, not the red and cyan ones, were just coming into fray to go ahead and come back. And, 3D is still pretty niche in terms of movies, but in terms of concert movies like this Billie Eilish one, I think it makes sense to do it because of how much she does in terms of curating the whole experience for her fans whenever she does go on tour. But anyway, I've talked endlessly with giving backstory and just set up for what I think of this movie or what I was thinking going into this movie. But in talking about a concert movie, it's different than me talking about a traditional narrative feature, because you're basically just experiencing a bunch of performances strung together musically. In between, though, this film specifically is part documentary on top of it being part concert film. So this is similar to the Beyonce film that was released a few months after the Taylor Swift Eras Tour film, Renaissance, in that in between a bunch of the performance moments, we do get moments behind the scenes with both Billie Eilish and James Cameron just going over the whole method and how they're trying to present the film, and also the tour as a whole too, because Cameron is there actually filming a lot of it. And that, I think, is fitting for what this movie was going for, because having never been to a Billie Eilish concert, the experience right away made you feel like you were really there. I mean, the sound design and how it is overall presented, just with the camera work and it cutting together, it is so immersive. And of course, on top of that, the whole 3D effect being done here, James Cameron just knows how to do 3D in film the best. I mean, with the Avatar movies all being so groundbreaking what they're doing with visual effects and the 3D technology, I think it should be noted or made a bigger case to have more concert movies be presented in 3D, because the effect, I don't think, is just a gimmick if it's done well. With how we see Eilish bounce back and forth and run around and dance on stage and stuff, also cutting back and forth in between the audience members, sometimes the 3D effect even shows them from the perspective of in the crowd, and we see their hands pop up in front in the foreground and the further background of the stage and setting, and Eilish and the other performers on stage. I mean, it's so well done, and how it was so inspired to be integrated together. Plus, Eilish shows off how she is as an artist, and also showing that she is crafting the design. She is curating how there are colors with the light up screens and floors and all around backgrounds and stages linked to different songs that are put all together, and just how she feels, like, also with her own personality, and just how she is, how she was inspired musically, like how she dresses with jerseys and shorts, about how she feels as a woman, being feminine or just not feeling feminine, just wanting to be herself. We get a bunch of insight in between, though they don't last more than maybe a couple or a few minutes, because mostly this is a concert film, of course, so I wasn't harping on that too much. I'll say that in terms of like certain directorial or editing choices, the movie has a tendency to cut back and forth between audience reactions and, of course, Eilish herself mainly performing on stage. And I like that, to go further into the immersion factor, to really have it be set on us. But I think a little too many times we cut back to the same audience members to have their reactions, Eilish on stage, reaction shot, whatever. That's fine. As long as it was cutting to more people, I think that would have maybe divvied up the whole flow better, but I don't think it ruined it that much. Plus, I mean, those that were actually there in Manchester while this was filming and are seeing this film in theaters, it's going to be cool for them to see themselves back with all the reactions, and just also them breaking down and just feeling emotional while watching Eilish. I mean, for many artists that are seen live on stage, that is the whole point of seeing someone in concert, on top of just, of course, enjoying the whole vibe and everything that is there. And so that is what I think is the big appeal with this, of course. I mean, this is everything fans would want if you are a big fan of Billie Eilish, or even if you're not a fan of Billie Eilish, if you are curious about as to what makes her so appealing, and just like the whole kind of just sense of being a part of a moment as she has created with that album that she was promoting with her tour. That came out a couple of years ago now, but of course there are some big hit songs that are associated with it, and many people know. The song that I was covering in the intro of this video is Birds of a Feather, which is an awesome song. There's also Lunch. The first two songs that were played in the concert set for the film here is Chihiro, which is my favorite of the Hit Me Hard and Soft album, and Lunch. So those are the first two right away, and those are so recognizable. She also goes back into some of her back catalog here. Of course, she performs Bad Guy. She also performs many other songs that people knew just over the years. Happier Than... Oh my god. This is what I get for doing this in one take. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, of course, she also plays songs from earlier albums like Happier Than Ever. And there were two moments that I really loved in this movie that helped further get into the immersion factor. So when there's a moment where she has the audience go silent or be really, really quiet as you can be in one of these big venue stages, she's able to really control or have a whole type of direction onto herself where she is humming into the microphone, and then it segues into her performing When the Party's Over. And that was such a great moment there because it shows just how, again, immersive the whole experience is. I've said that so many times in this video, or a variation of that word, but I really have to emphasize that here because of the whole sound and spectacle that Eilish has expertise in. That is the whole thing as to what makes this all work together. And then the other moment is that she is able to get everyone to crouch down and then jump all at the same time, more or less, during another song. And we see Eilish jump around the stage, go in and out, under and around, back with the whole setting and foreground that she is performing on. All of that there. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy as concerts should display. And that is what is the whole point and the whole kind of execution as to what is done with a concert film. And this being in 3D, it's a gimmick, you could say, in one sense, but when it is filmed and done so well, and how the sound comes together and how it just flows together, I think that it really sets out and does something that is worth watching all together. I saw this thing at 11:25 in the morning, so I didn't expect anyone to be in the theater, more or less, but I ended up being the only one in the theater anyway. I mean, most people are still in school or work. I mean, I had the day off work today, so I saw this movie in the morning, but it's like I had my own private screening, so to speak, in watching the movie and just being so sucked into it. It runs at just under 2 hours, and at the point at which it was feeling like that, okay, we're getting to a lot of songs being played here and a bunch of other stuff in between with the documentary type moments, that is when the final song of the set, Birds of a Feather, was playing, and I was thinking, wow, yeah, it's already almost over. I guess those 2 hours really flew. And again, depending on if you're a fan or not, I think that you're really going to be suckered in and think that the time is going to fly all together. And again, if you're not a fan of Eilish's music and you're just wanting to see what the fuss is about with her and why she has been such a big figure in music in the last several years, this is going to deliver on that. And I think that this is a film that, all in all, is something I definitely recommend seeing. It's one of the better concert movies that I have seen just in general, not just because of the whole idea of seeing it in the theater, which you should obviously, but also because of who Eilish is as an artist and some of the insight we get in between the concert moments with behind the scene moments and all this other stuff. I think that, yeah, this is mostly a very successful effort on everyone's part to see how this is something that I think more movies, specifically concert movies, should do if they're able to integrate the 3D technology, or just also just do it in a way that this movie does it, because not every concert movie is going to necessarily go out and do the same kind of manner of framing that this does. But yeah, once again, I think that this is a film that is worth seeing. I really enjoyed this Billie Eilish concert film. I'm not going to say the whole title because it's such a long title. And yeah, for those that are fans, of course, go out and see this thing ASAP. And if you're watching this, my little cousin Sophia, hey Soph, I hope you go out and see this thing. She is the biggest Billie Eilish fan that I know. And sorry, I'm wearing a Selena Gomez shirt while reviewing this movie. Yeah, I don't have any Billie Eilish merch. I should get on that, though. But yeah, in any sense, now is time for me to give my final verdict for this film. My final verdict for this film is 4 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of the Billie Eilish 3D concert film, social media links in the description, subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.